All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're heading off on a virtual pilgrimage today, specifically to Mount Putuo. Now, if you're tuning in, you probably already have a deep appreciation for global heritage, but I promise you, this place is on a whole different level. We're exploring China's sacred island of Compassion, which is this incredible spot where geography, history, and just massive amounts of human devotion all collide in the most spectacular way.
Just listen to this quote for a second. Where mountains rise from the sea and faith follows the waves. I mean, that perfectly captures the vibe of this misty coastal sanctuary. Mount Putuo isn't just a mountain, and it's not just an island. It's a sanctuary hidden away in these deep green forests, constantly wrapped in ocean mist. You can literally watch monks walking along the shore right beside crashing waves, with local fishing boats just floating beneath these steep sea cliffs.
What's really fascinating to me is the contrast between China's typical inland sacred mountains and Putuo's totally unique maritime landscape. Think about a sacred mountain retreat for a second. You're probably picturing landlocked isolation, right? Towering terrestrial peaks way out in the middle of the mainland. But Mount Putuo completely flips that script. You follow the mainland rivers and trails until you run out of land, and the destination itself is a spiritual island completely surrounded by the sea. To really grasp why this matters, we kind of have to look at the broader map of Chinese Buddhism. So out of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains, Mount Putuo holds a very distinct honor. While the other 3 mountains symbolize wisdom, practice, and resolve, Mount Putuo specifically represents the deep, enduring compassion of Guanyin. The whole island is entirely dedicated to the Bodhisattva of mercy, and that really sets this unique emotional tone for everything we're about to see. Let's move on to the grand ancient temples. 40. Seriously, 40. It is absolutely staggering to think that this single, relatively small island nestled out in the Zhoushan archipelago has over 40 stunning temples that are open to the public. You're practically bumping into a centuries-old architectural masterpiece every time you turn a corner.
And we're talking about over 1,000 years of continuous, meticulously preserved history here. I mean, there have been buildings on this island since the Tang Dynasty. Puji Temple was first erected way back in 916 AD. Then you've got Puji Temple popping up in 1580, massive imperial rebuilds ordered by Emperor Kangxi in 1689, all the way up to the massive Baotou Temple that was literally just completed in 2011. It's not a museum, it's a living, breathing continuation of faith. Imagine walking into Puji Temple, which is the largest and most famous one on the island. You walk in and you're instantly surrounded by these ancient 1,000-year-old trees. It's a total visual feast, vibrant yellow and red walls, golden roofs catching the light, and this huge lotus pond right out front. You truly feel like you've stepped back in time. And because it's exclusively dedicated to Guanyin, the main figure you see inside is always the Bodhisattva of Compassion, which is a big departure from your standard Buddhist temple layout. And that grand scale? It's everywhere. Every temple has its own unique flex. Over at Puji Temple, you've got imperial roof tiles that were directly rescued from the Forbidden City in Beijing, along with this massive 9-dragon wall. If you want to get to Puji Temple on the highest peak, sure, you can take a cable car, but a lot of people brave the 2,888 stone steps hidden up in the clouds. And that modern Baotou Temple we mentioned, it boasts an 800-person lecture hall with murals mimicking the famous Longmen grottos. Just incredible.
Let's shift gears and talk about walking the pilgrim's path.
Now, temples are really just beautiful, empty buildings without the people who breathe life into them, right? Well, every single year, 10 million devout visitors and pilgrims cross the ocean to walk these ancient paths. 10 million. Just think about the sheer logistics of that for a second. That is an unbelievable scale of devotion. 10 million people actively seeking out blessings, making wishes, and just trying to find some peace.
And for those pilgrims, the journey is highly structured and packed with symbolism. A lot of folks wake up well before dawn just so they can catch the very first morning ferry, because the belief is that the first boat brings the best blessings for your life and career. Then they'll walk through places like the purple bamboo forest, they'll bow in all 4 directions to honor the deities, and they'll very carefully light and place exactly 3 incense sticks into the burners. It is a deeply immersive, physical act of devotion.
It's also incredibly sensory and participatory. When you visit, you eat traditional vegetarian meals out of respect for the monastic vows of nonviolence. People even sponsor the ancient trees dotted around the island. Some visitors pay up to 2,400 RMB, which is over $300, just to foster trees that have been there for centuries. And as you walk the mountain paths, you'll constantly see people in deep prostration, literally bowing every few steps to show their ultimate humility.
Okay, I absolutely have to share this historical anecdote because it's just too good. There is a temple on the island brilliantly named the Buddha Doesn't Want to Go Temple. So local legend says that during the Sino-Japanese War, forces tried to move a statue of the Buddha off the island and take it to Japan. But the second they tried, this massive freak storm rolled in, making the ocean completely unpassable. The locals saw this as a clear sign that the Buddha was firmly refusing to leave Mount Putuo, and the temple stands there today as a testament to that wild intervention.
Which perfectly sets up our next focus, the Nanhai Guanyin statue.
All of these paths, all the legends, the thousands of stone steps, they eventually lead you to the absolute crowning jewel of the island. But before we look at it, we really need to understand Guanyin. In Chinese folk culture and Mahayana Buddhism, she is the beloved figure of ultimate mercy. Think of it this way. If a Chinese person has a sacred image hanging from their rearview mirror for safety, 99% of the time, that's Guanyin. She's the universal guardian of safety, well-being, and keeping disaster at bay. And towering right over the coastline is her grand monument, the South Sea or Nanhai Guanyin statue. It stands a massive 33 meters tall, completely dominating the gorgeous ocean sky behind it.
Let's just break down the numbers on this golden guardian for a second because it's nuts. It is cast from over 70 tons of solid bronze. Then it's plated entirely in a shimmering layer of gold, and it's perched on this massive two-tiered base that just gazes out over the crashing waves. Imagine standing there. You're looking up at 70 tons of gold-plated bronze, looking out over the sea. The ocean mist is rolling in. Incense is burning in the courtyards, packed with worshipers all around you. I mean, it's a profoundly cinematic, breathtaking sight. So let's wrap this up by talking about the island as a spiritual sanctuary. Because at the end of the day, beyond the jaw-dropping architecture, the 70 tons of bronze, and the gorgeous natural scenery, this island serves a very real, deeply human purpose. For millions of people, it's a vital emotional sanctuary. People travel all the way here to pour out their hearts. They come to mourn the loved ones they've lost, and they come to seek real hope for their futures. It provides an emotional outlet that is just completely woven into the cultural fabric. So I'm going to leave you with this thought to chew on long after we finish up today. If you made the journey across the water to this sacred island, if you climbed all those ancient steps and actually stood right there before the majestic Guanyin of the South Sea with the mist in your face, what would you wish for? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.